All right, what is up, everybody? We are live for the last time in 2022 with the Cage Warriors 148 and Bellator versus Rizin tape delayed New Year's Eve cards. I'm definitely going to be focusing more on the Cage Warriors front. For one, I'm going to be actually betting those lines with Cage Warriors, and I think they're kind of better fights. The Rizin fights could be great. We got the carousel in here, Alex, Moise, and of course my boy Kelly. How you all doing? Yeah, full disclosure, I'm probably not going to be betting the Rizin Bellator card very heavily. I think they're good fights. I just don't trust where they're happening and the circumstances they're happening under. So I'm not going to bet them. But I did break down a lot of tape, particularly on the Rizin side of things. So that was fun to do. And then Cage Warriors 148, very, very good card. Multiple title fights on the card, one on the prelims with Sam Creasy, who gets no respect. And then on the main card also with Bukauskas taking on Chuck Campbell and others as well. So we got Duncan back on the card. It's a good New Year's Eve, actually. So funny, everybody was just waiting around for the UFC to come back. There's plenty of good MMA. We got 2 LFAs to start off the new year as well. Hopefully Lucky Locks will join me for those. Did not change the background here. So let me change the background. But yeah, exactly. Finally, some MMA. No more talk about Patreons or anything of that matter. I have decided not to announce my Patreon this week. I'm gonna wait a couple weeks to make my Patreon. No, just kidding. There'll never be a Patreon. But yeah, a lot of interesting stuff going on in the MMA world. But here to talk about fights. I'm gonna start with the Cage Warriors fights. Cage Warriors 148 taking place live from the O2 Arena in London. Really, really strong card. 12 really good fights, top to bottom on the card. 3 title fights, 1 on the prelims, 2 on the main card as well. Just overall, really impressed with what they're doing. It's at the Indigo at the O2, so it is the smaller of the O2. It's not the actual O2, but yeah, good fights here. Super pumped to break down some MMA and not break down a bunch of frauds here. Thank you for being here. If you're here, you're a real one. That's all I'm really interested in. Yes, stay tuned at the end. I will be announcing my contest that would never happen because contests are for frauds. Sorry for anybody screwed over by it. You're not the frauds. The people running it are. And everybody who's faked outrage too. It's amazing the bleeding hearts when someone gets caught. Anyways, we're going to talk about fights now. We're at the featherweight division. Really good fight right away to start out the card here. A guy who really has impressed me in Samuel Bark, the Swedish Muay Thai kickboxer, taking on Orlando Wilson Prins here. So kind of a clash of styles here. Prins got Tom Mearns in his last fight. If you don't know who Tom Mearns is, you're not watching enough Cage Warriors. Tom Mearns, just kind of the veteran of veterans there. He just grinds out decisions. He loses some guys. He beats some guys. He kind of just exhausted Orlando Prins in that fight, but did kind of show a little bit of the limitations with the Dutch fighter. But I'll be talking about this Swedish fighter first here. Samuel Bark, who kind of just came onto the deck, known as Salmon Decker, 5'9", 145, really, really strong Muay Thai practitioner. Wolf Fight Team came in on short notice and absolutely eliminated Tobias Harilla, who Tobias Harilla came into that fight with a ton of momentum. Tobias Harilla is fighting higher on this card than Samuel Bark, which I think is funny because Tobias has not fought since that knee absolutely decimated him in that fight. Really good pressure Samuel puts on his fighters here. And Renee, what up? Oh, the Rain Man. Oh, right on. Good to see you here. I hadn't seen you before. Got the whole dome here. Appreciate y'all. But yeah, since that impressive short notice performance, by the way, which this is now going to be his 6th fight of 2022 or 7th fight of 2022. Started back in February of this year, got a decision, lost the decision to a 3-0 Loof, split decision. Wasn't able to find the fight, but got a split decision in UAE afterwards. There over a pretty good opponent, 4-1. He's fought really plus opponents, and then Right after that, 20 days later, took the short notice fight with Mr. Tobias, and then put him away. Took a fight 4 months later against Manny Akban, a guy I really rate highly. Again, it was just another really impressive performance. Just puts on a good pressure, throws really technical strikes as well, good power, and everything like that. And then just took a fight with Superior Challenge with some but put him away with ground and pound right away. And that was 21 days ago. So 3 weeks later, taking on Orlando Prince here. Definitely really impressed with him. He has a chance to go 6-1 in the year. And yeah, I just really like how he's looked. But with Orlando Prince, he's going to have a pretty clear route that he's going to want to take this fight. And it's going to want to be where he can use his jiu-jitsu. Strong on the ground, all 3 of his wins coming by way of submission. He just kind of got out-grinded by Tom Mearns. That's not what's going to happen necessarily with Bark here. So just, it's just one of these things where, for me, Prince has not fought a high level of competition. When he fought Mearns, he kind of failed the eye test to me. Bark is just past it. So for me, I can't deny that Bark is the way I'm going in this fight. My problem is the line here. When you have the performance he had against Harilla, who was quite a large favorite going into that fight, you're going to get the overcorrection from the market. Just pulling up the odds real quick here. And I believe last time I checked, Samuel Bark was a minus 500 favorite. And I don't think that's changed as of now. Mr. Bark is at minus 550, plus 400 on Orlando Wilson Prince. To be honest, I do not think that Bark is worth that price. I definitely could see Orlando Prince springing the upset here. So for me, I love the momentum of Bark. My pick is Bark, but I'm passing from a betting perspective, minus 550. Just not a lot you're going to want to attach to there. I'll move on to the easiest pick of the night, in my opinion. Emil Brown taking on Junior Orgul. Emil Brown is an absolute specimen to me. He's looked very, very impressive early on in his career. And he's also just testing himself with a high level of opponent. I think he wanted to get one more done before the end of the year. And I think they found him an opponent. I think it's kind of that simple. Junior Orgul, 5'9", 170, 16-9, 2 straight losses coming into this last fight in September. He's out of Brazil, so making his debut over in London. He's also fought in Russia with ACA as well as RCC, losing the last 2 fights to pretty decent levels of competition. Typically uses jiu-jitsu. 3 of his wins coming by way of submission, 3 coming by way of TKO as well. Just hasn't fought a crazy level of competition. He's kind of fought all over the place. He is a veteran, so I do think Emil can't expect to necessarily go in there and put him away. A lot of decisions on Orgul's record. Only was put away in his last fight by elbows and ground and pound. So for me, Emil's got to be kind of careful not to blow himself out early. But I just really like how the Team Renegade product has been looking. It's really, really good size for the division. Put away his last 2 opponents. Dan Hepworth, he got into the second round, looked good there. Went to a split decision with James Sheehan in his 3rd fight ever. That has definitely really aged as well. But it's kind of the same problem again. The price, can't really trust Emil, especially because if he does have an issue, it could be potentially with his cardio. But, I kind of got to trust what Emil's going with. So it's kind of 2 back-to-back where I hate to say it, but I'm really trust a heavy favorite, but not enough to bet or see that the price that they're at makes any sense. So I got Emil Brown. He's minus 410. I don't think that's terrible. I think his price makes slightly more sense than Samuel Barks, but both are pretty rough, but both should get it done. Next fight is at 135. Return of a guy that been waiting to see him back in Nathaniel Fletcher. Had a had an interesting Nathan Fletcher, sorry. Had an interesting performance in his last fight against Dominique Wooding, a guy I really, really rate highly myself. But it also was quite revealing. He did start to gas out in the third round, was put away via strikes. Alessandro Giordano is his opponent out of Italy, still very young at 25 years old, 24 and 25. These two are both 6-1. So young guys in their career. Making his Cage Warriors debut here, did fight Venator against Percy Herrera, somewhat known name. But the thing is, before that, not facing a high level of competition. Giuseppe Rigeri was a good level of competition back in his second fight. He did lose that by decision. Was controlled via the grappling in that one. Really, really aggressive striker. Throws kicks as well. Put away one of his opponents with low kicks. He's basically got to avoid being taken down, which I just don't think he's going to be able to do. It's what Giuseppe Rigeri did to him. Nathaniel. Okay, Well, my bad. Back here, I just wanted to apologize. My Wi-Fi internet issues. I'm working on it. Sent my PayPal information over to Verizon though, so now they should have no more issues. I sent them a screenshot of my PayPal amount. So yeah, thank you PayPal very much. This is not a sponsored PayPal. I just want to say this is not sponsored by PayPal. So this is just thank you PayPal for working through my issues with me with my internet. Anyways, back to this fight. Yeah, we'll go ahead and just go to the obvious here. Nathan Fletcher. He's been off for over a year. Got knocked out, pretty convincingly there. But Next Generation MMA looked really good against Michelle Martingoni, Brian Boulin. Both fights have aged pretty well, especially the Martingoni fight. He is now the Cage Warriors champion. So for me, with Nathan Fletcher, he definitely is a hammer. I get nervous quite a bit by him if those takedowns don't work. He shoots from really far away on his takedowns as well, and he does look to be a little gassy, but I think that he should be able to bounce back here against Giordano. But Nathan is shit again. Once you lose that undefeated record, MMA gets very funny. So I don't know how he's going to respond here necessarily, but looks like he's in a good spot, minus 550 again. So you got three guys back to back at pretty high prices that I wouldn't necessarily suggest getting over involved with, but again, Nathan Fletcher should get it done. So I do like the heavy three favorites to start out the card. First fight that's I'd say more competitive, closeness wise, is Sonmez versus Adam Misakini. This is taking place at featherweight. And yeah, this is a pretty good fight. Wasn't as familiar with Adam Emra. I have been familiar with, and I've been decently impressed by him so far, even though he has come up short in his Cage Warriors performances. But Adam Misakini here out of Paris, France, 6'1", I should say, 5'9", out of Old School Academy, five straight wins coming into this last spot in July of this year, beating Jalal El Daja by strikes. Pretty good fight there. Was able to go watch that with UAE Warriors. Before that, had faced a pretty low level of competition for the most part at a split decision early on as well, mostly KOs. On his record, one rear naked choke as well. Emra Sonmez definitely going to be looking to use his grappling much more. The Turkish fighter Antonina Wolf is what he's known as, out of England, fighting out of England now with Great Britain top team, 145, and won his last two outside of the UFC or outside of Cage Warriors, both against Leandro Souza. So knocked him out both times. So good for you there. Both his losses in Cage Warriors to good competition, Aiden Steven and then Liam Giddens. Liam Giddens able to get the back and choke him out. He does have one win over Daryl Golding as well. He's just more of a grinder for sure. He does have some ground and pound stoppages as well. But looks to get that top position, use the wrestling more so. I think he's going to look to slow down Adam and kind of drag him into deep water. Misakini is in the Arkandome. Good to know. But this is one that I got in pretty early on. The lines actually flipped. I got Emra Sonmez in this fight to use his wrestling, his grappling. I just overall think he is the better, stronger fighter. I could definitely see a finish here. Typically does finish his opponents. Sorry to Arkham Dome Misakini. He's going to go to 2-2 in my opinion, though. The Antolinan Wolf, I think, is just going to be able to get this fight to the position he wants to be in. Misakini does have some decent decent work off his back, but I just think that it's going to be too much for him. So Sonmez is my pick. I got him at plus 105 earlier in the week. I believe he's become a decent favorite at this point. He is there he is, minus 150 now, plus 120. So the line has flipped there, Misakini at plus 120 could be a decent play if you're into it, but I do like Enmara here to get it done and inside the distance. Next fight here, kind of a weird bout order. I'd frankly put this one at the bottom. Helio Hernandez taking on Chasen Blair. Chasen Blair lost his last time out, kind of blew it against Jeffrey Craig, who I just want to thank everybody because Jeffrey Craig was a massive favorite in his LFA day, in his next fight in the LFA and just got absolutely wrestled the entire time. So shout out to everybody who overrated that win. But Chasen Blair had his moments in that. He's got good stand up as a wrestler out of North Carolina, as you can see. 2-1, doesn't use his wrestling as much in MMA so far. So that's kind of been my problem. Not the biggest of welterweights, more of a stocky wrestler type. Beat Kona Oliveira, a longer guy in Cage Warriors 139, which was in California, as well as Ricky Moore, also in California, knocked them both out. Kind of has fallen in love with his hands. I'd like to see him believe in his wrestling a little more again, but Helio Hernandez, 1-1 here out of Portugal, lost his last fight in December of 2021. He had no tape available, has a split decision win. He got guillotine choked in a minute by Fernando Carvalho. I mean, he was supposed to have a fight in October, got called off. Chasen Blair is my pick here. He should be able to get this done. I'd like to see the wrestling be used, which he did against Oliveira in his defense. So I think he uses the wrestling, gets the ground and pound, and gets him out of there. So I like Chasen Blair. Minus 260, I do think is a fair parlay piece. But yeah, Chasen Blair has never fought overseas. And we don't really know about this Portugal guy. So again, these are, some deeper lines, but, and Chasen Blair just, really did blow it against Jeffrey Craig, who we went on to see is kind of a fraud. So in the week of frauds, I would avoid that one, minus 260 plus 200 on Helio Hernandez. We're avoiding a lot here, but it is what it is. This next fight is the fight I've gone back and forth on quite a bit, but very excited about this one. Justin Berry taking on Dario Bellondi here. Really good fight. Very interesting clash of styles. Justin Berry known for his kickboxing, taekwondo. Chasen Blair didn't fight in England for his Cage Warriors debut. He might have. He actually might have. But I know his second fight was in California. So typically, I don't think he's fighting over in Europe. But I'd have to check that, Kelly. So Justin Berry, Dario Bellondi. Justin Berry 3-0, Bellondi 3-1, coming off a big offset as well. Justin Berry had that sick crescent kick KO back in his debut, and then in his second fight with Leandro Rodarte. Then went to a decision the following fight with Kalali Kyokoa. There, he was a pretty big favorite, minus 325 there. Did have to show a little bit more of his overall game. He is still developing for sure. It wasn't a great performance, but I'm a little bit worried about him in this fight. But Dario Bellondi, 6'3", good size as well, middleweight, coming off that win back in October over Jonah Ariste. Another good grappler himself, but just showed the levels, got that triangle choke sunk in, and really an impressive finish there. The decision against Will Curry, nothing to hang his head about as well. I do think that, he showed a pretty good account of himself. I think he learned a lot from that fight. Former IMAF world champion as well as an amateur. Definitely like to see that. Pretty established amateur career as well. So I just think he's the more seasoned, well-rounded guy here. I think he's going to be able to exploit the grappling of Justin Berry, and I think he's smart enough to stay out of the realm of the dangerous strike. So I like Dario Bellondi here, just to out MMA Justin Berry and eventually find that submission. I think he is that good. And a minus 150 price tag, I do like. It is a favorite that I would bet solo as well. So Dario Bellondi is my pick. By submission would be my method of victory there. So really good fight there. Justin Berry definitely has KO potential. He's also very athletic and getting better. So should be a good fight. Leading up to our prelim flyweight championship fight here. It's the second fight between Sam Creasy and Shadul Hake, or Hake, I should say. 24, 40. I never make any sort of hidden agendas here. And Sam Creasy is a guy I really respect and I side with very often. I like the spots that I've been able to find him in. He's often kind of underrated by the odds makers, and I think he's been counted out a time or two where he shouldn't have been. His last fight against Stipe Brzic just put on a clinic, perfect left hook on Brzic, and then landed that high elbow guillotine, put him away. I mean, it was a minute finish. So that's the thing you can say about it, but I mean, I watched Hake's last fight. Superman's his nickname. Wasn't like terribly impressed by it. Good, he's a good methodical boxer. Can use his wrestling as well. He's very well rounded. He's coming into this fight off 4 straight wins. He did beat Sam Creasy by decision back in. When did they fight? Back in 2016 with Cage Warriors. It actually gave Sam Creasy his first loss. It was a close fight back then as well. He's only lost to high levels of competition. Tagir Olombekov, Zalgis Zumagulov, and Jake Hadley are his last few losses. Had a split decision with Samir Fadin. It was a weird fight for Samir Fadin, honestly. Fadin just really wasn't unloading. He was not, adding a lot of volume. So he kind of gave that fight away to Hake, in my opinion. Hake didn't do a lot to really impress me. For me, this fight was supposed to happen last month. Sam was sick. It's gotten rescheduled to now. They put it as a feature prelim, 34 versus 31. So both guys are a little bit older for this division. Luke Shanks did put him away by that KO last December. But honestly, I get that he's been put away by KO in a few of his fights. But I just don't think Hake has that level of power that's going to really threaten Sam in this fight. I think this is going to be a very close, highly competitive fight. I just think Sam has improved more since their first time around, and I don't think Sam's done. And I just love the price we're getting on Sam. So maybe I'm getting trapped here, but I got Sam Creasy in this spot. Probably goes to a decision, but I just think Sam is slightly more diverse and slightly better on the feet and on the ground. Just I think it's kind of the same type of story. I think he's more diverse and slightly better on the ground as well. So yeah, I got Sam Creasy at pick'em price of -115. He currently is a -105 underdog. You can find him on 5 dimes, -115 other places. So yeah, I like Sam Creasy in this spot. If you can get him at dog money, I would jump all over that. I think he's being very underrated in this spot. I get he lost the first time around. It was a competitive fight. Probably going to be competitive again, but give me Sam Creasy for the flyweight championship defending win on the prelims. He is the featured prelim as a flyweight champion. So we can have Darren Stewart on the main card against Guillermo Cadena. What is this fight? Get the carousel going, because for some reason they must have paid Darren Stewart a lot of money to come over to Cage Warriors, and they're trying to get their investment. I don't know. But yeah, this is just a fight I don't want anything to do with. So for me to put in a lot of research would kind of be disingenuous. So I didn't really. Really quickly, Cadena is 30-19, and he's only 30 years old, out of Spain. Warriors his nickname. He's 5'10", so he's a little guy for his division for sure. And yeah, he's fought all over the place. None of these places I'm super familiar with. Furious FC, TFL, SFC, Sangre, Salamanca Fight, City Cage, PCF, Max Fights, Maximo Extreme, Cage 46. I'm familiar with Cage because of the Finnish fighter fighting Wilson Hayes later on. He's fought Guram Kudaladze for 3 minutes. He fought Mirzia Radazat. I mean, he lost to a 14-17 guy in the second round. So, I mean, yeah, Darren Stewart, if you can't beat this guy, you must hang up the gloves at this point. This is just, they're trying to give him a win, for God's sakes. Darren, I love you. I met you in Boston after the UFC, and you are a great guy, but Jesus, Like, they're giving you this guy on a main card in London. It's a gift. You're on a 1, 2, 3, 4 fight losing streak, losing to Mick Stanley last time out. Huge red flag there. Just got totally controlled on the ground. If, like, honestly, if your opponent can wrestle, you might be in trouble, because I just don't think Darren Stewart knows how to defend a takedown. Bartosz Fabinski showed it. So many others have shown it. So yeah, Darren Stewart, I guess, is my pick, but ugh. Yeah, coming into this, by the way, 5 straight wins, including a bare knuckle fight for Mr. Cadena. So congratulations on that. It's been knocked out a few times along the way, including by a 14-17 guy. So let's just move on here. Darren Stewart's my pick. That's the worst fight on the card, and yeah, it's on the main card. Back to MMA here with the featherweights here. This is one of the best fights on the card. Damon Wilson versus Tobias Harilla. Kind of surprised Tobias Harilla is on the main card when his opponent, Samuel Bark, is opening up the card, but whatever. Tobias, is an exciting guy. He's going to come on in that mask and pretend he's robbing shit. And yeah, dude, if Darren loses this fight, oh my God. If Darren loses this fight, he has to retire. He has to, because it's just over. It's all over. But yeah, Damon Wilson, Tobias Harilla, hell of a fight here. This is going to be an absolute scrap, however long it goes. Bad Intentions versus the Nomad, 28 versus 29, nearly 29 for both guys here. Tobias, 10-3. He's not fought since that beat down against Samuel Bark, where he was so confident coming out and just believed he could take any shots that Samuel had to throw. Before that, he'd never been put away. He'd been controlled by William Gomez and then put away by a rear naked choke, but never by strikes. 2 first-round finishes in there as well. So he is a quick starter. Decky McLean really got put away very cleanly in that spot. Tobias is impressive early, but he slows down. He definitely slows down. He looks to kill or be killed in that first round and make it a crazy fight. And that's what Damon Wilson's going to look to do, is kill or be killed in that first round and make it a crazy fight. This fight's probably going to end in the first round. One of these guys, I think a lot of people believe Harilla has the cardio advantage as this fight goes on. So I think he would be smart to drag Damon Wilson a little along. But I think Damon Wilson's cardio is a little bit overhated. I get he's been tired a few times in a couple of his fights, but put away James Settle. That cut, probably shouldn't have been put away. But honestly, I think we would have saw Damon Wilson beat him down for 3 rounds. Maybe not put him away. Ryan Filligame, he did what he needed to do against him. Theodore Makuka put him away in 11 seconds. I mean, this guy's got legit power. He did get tired in his debut against Pancho Thura as well, but he fought through it and again used his wrestling when he needed to. I think that could be a big key in this fight as it goes. Could get a little greasy for sure. I would prefer Damon to finish it early because of decision. I'm getting nervous, but I think Damon has a huge advantage in power in this spot. And I think that he can go to the wrestling as it goes on, but I think it's going to end in the first round. When these guys goes down, I'm going to take Damon Wilson. Earlier in the week, he was the favorite. He's now switched to the underdog. I'm seeing him available at plus 130. I'm taking Damon Wilson out of Lansing, Michigan. I'm from Michigan, just outside Lansing, Michigan, at plus 130. He's still available for plus 120, minus 150 on Tobias Harilla. I like Damon Wilson in the spot, and I do think he can go to the wrestling if he has to, but I would rather see him just use that KO stoppage power. But should be a good fight. Be interesting to see how Tobias rebounds and being on the same card as the guy who kind of took his soul in Samuel Bark. So interesting one there. Next fight at 135. This is a grease fire of a fight. Super duper close. Very well matched up guys here. And Tomas Grondahl taking on Wilson Hayes, the former UFC flyweight. Fought at featherweight before, fought at bantamweight. Now he's fighting back down at flyweight, or for the first time in a long time. And I'm quite interested to see how that affects him here, or at bantamweight, I should say. Fought his last fight at featherweight against Jeremiah Lebbiano. It was a really close, greasy fight. Lebbiano, I kind of thought won that fight. Lebbiano looks so much bigger as well. So definitely a problem for Wilson Hayes is where he kind of is at in his career with regards to his weight class. Taylor Lapoules was just too fast for him and too slick. And then Donnie Matos knocked him out in 16 seconds because he can't make that cut to 125. So kind of a little bit of a tweener here. He's decent on the feet. He's got okay boxing. He's got some leg kicks. Good jiu-jitsu, though. Good top game. His opponent, Thomas the Train Grondahl, good jiu-jitsu, decent stand-up, and, decent jiu-jitsu, but he's fought all his fights with the same organization, and it's not a good organization, or not a great organization in Cage. Not Cage Warriors, but Cage. So he's fought a decent level, a lot of rear naked chokes, ground and pound finishes, mostly just known to use his position and stay on top. He's tried to add the ground and pound the last few fights, but just isn't able to do it. For me, Wilson Hayes is the side in this fight, but I think it's going to be really close, and I don't think it's a fight you're going to want to bet. I don't think it's going to be very entertaining. I don't see a finish potential on either side. I think whoever gets the top control will keep the top control for most of each of the rounds. So for me, I just like Wilson Hayes. He's fought a better level competition. He's fought outside of Finland. Just all things that I like in my guy. But Thomas Grondahl, he's making up for lost time here. It's taken a long time to make his, kind of trip over here from Finland. So, you never know. But Wilson Hayes is my side in this fight. It's currently a pick'em. So again, I like a Wilson Hayes Samuel. I like a Wilson Hayes pick here. I like Wilson Hayes to go with Sam Creasy. You get the -115 double up there. So yeah, I will take Wilson Hayes by decision. Next fight, co-main event. It's for this Cage Warriors Light Heavyweight Championship. Modestas Bukauskas taking on Chuck Campbell. Really, really good. Should be an entertaining fight here. Big fan of both these guys. I get Bukauskas had a tough go around in the UFC, but he's back in Cage Warriors where I think he's going to enjoy himself a lot more. 12-5 for the Lithuanian, 28 years old, taking on the San Jose representative out of Team Alpha Male, and now as well as AKA Chuck Campbell. 6'4", 78.5-inch reach, good size, very athletic, light heavyweight, good striker. 3 straight wins for him coming into this. The Andy Clamp win with Cage Warriors in London was a really impressive one in November. Fought off the takedowns really well, kept good composure as well, and ended up putting away, Clamp there in the first round. Really clean shot, and then ended it with the ground and pound. Only loss coming to Tyree Fortune. Not a great loss by split decision with Bellator. But besides that, good knees, good composure. He keeps a good pace. I really do like his, ability when he throws shots. Sometimes he's a little bit too in his own head. And it allows the volume not to be there, allows his opponents to kind of dictate a little bit too much of the fight. But, he's really, really good. Modestas Bukauskas, kind of a similar type of guy. Came back from that injury to beat Lee Chadwick, but I wasn't super blown away by him in that fight. I think he did allow Lee to dictate a little bit too much of the action. For that 3 straight losses, the Olejniczak fight specifically, I think is a fight this could be very similar to, where he just allowed Olejniczak to control where the fight was going, the pressure. If you're putting Bukauskas on his back foot, he does freeze up a little bit more. He has been put away twice as well, although one of those times was via injury. For me, I just want to say I think that Chuck Campbell is being extremely underestimated in this spot. I think he's very, very hungry. I think he's putting together his game more and more with each fight. And Noah, I'm sorry, man, but I got my bet in on Chuck Campbell at plus 240 already, and his price is rising. I think that this line is off, and this is going to be a very close competitive fight on the feet. Bukauskas is probably the favorite to win a decision. So for me, Chuck Campbell is going to have to increase the volume a little more. Otherwise, it is KO or bust. But for me, I like Chuck Campbell. He's down to plus 200 now. So actually not rising. Minus 260 on Bukauskas. Campbell all day. Moist. Hell yeah. Yeah. Let's get on Chuck Campbell here. Dog of the night for me. Plus 230. I got him. He's still at plus 200. So very, very good price there on Chuck Campbell. I think he's much better than people realize. So give me Chuck Campbell there. We're on to the main event. We're going to need the carousel to come out for Christian Leroy Duncan because he's facing Jesse Taylor. Yes, that Jesse Taylor. The guy who fucked up the Ultimate Fighter like twice now and has done steroids. And yeah, he's just kind of been a mess, in building back up for. I mean, yeah, that might be that's what a lot of people believe in. That's what the odds believe. Chuck Campbell, man, UFC would like Chuck Campbell a lot if Campbell can put together a couple wins too. So Jesse Roydhead, yes. Let's just go over Jesse JT Money's last few fights. He's 33-16, very good, impressive record. Last two fights have been with J Street Fights. He beat Daniel McWilliams, 18-47. Beat him in 28 seconds. He also fought Seth Pazinski in 2021. Seth Pazinski should have been retired for 4 years at that point. Beat him by rear naked choke in 46 seconds. I don't really care about either of those wins. He was in combat jiu-jitsu, got heel hooked in a minute. He got put away in his other two fights. Was fighting on, Matt Secor and going to overtime with him. Got triangle choked by Matt Secor. He's gotten guillotined before. He beat James Krause back in 2017, Diego Lima. Like, what is this guy doing? Now he's fighting Christian Leroy Duncan after being off for a year. I just don't get it. He was supposed to fight Ty Freeman. Jesse was injured, so he's coming off an injury from a few months ago. And Chuck Campbell did get robbed against Tyree Fortune. But he did that because Chuck Campbell sometimes doesn't throw enough. But no, it does throw enough. Christian Leroy Duncan, 27 years old, entering his prime. He's put away all 7 of his opponents going into this fight. All of them are better level of opponent than Jesse Taylor. Jacques Milan took him into the third round, and Christian Leroy still possessed a lot of power. What he did to Will Curry twice was just brutal. Christian Leroy Duncan, my most confident pick on the card. Puts him away early and often. This is going to be brutal. So, yeah, Christian Leroy Duncan, minus 550. Put him in all your parlays because he is taking this one home. So really quickly, I'll go through what my picks are on the Cage Warriors card. Then I'll switch over to the Bellator Rizin card. That's going to be much quicker picks. And then we'll call it a night and call it a 2022. It's been a good one. But quick pick time. Starting at the bottom, we got pretty chalky start things. And I get it. Samuel Bark over Mr. Prinz. Emil Brown over Orgul. Nathan Fletcher over Giordano, Amra Sonmez over Adam Mazinski, Jason Blair over Julio Hernandez, Dario Bellondi over Justin Berry, Sam Creasy over Samuel Hake. Darren Stewart's got to win that one. Damon Wilson over Tobias Harilla, Wilson Hayes over Thomas Grondahl, Chuck Campbell, Dog in the Night over Modestus Bukauskas, and Christian Leroy Duncan, favorite of the night, over Jesse JT Money. Really quickly, we'll go over to Bellator Rizin as well. Over here in the States, it is going to be on a tape delay. It's also taking place in just weird circumstances that I don't really fully trust. So I'm going to go through and just give my thoughts on each of these fights, which Rizin guys I think have a chance, and call it a night. But the 5 fights, starting at 155, Godzi Rabadanov taking on Koji Takeda. I really like this fight. I think it's a close fight between two pretty similar types of fighters. Koji Takeda, a very strong wrestler, and has, some good boxing, but not great boxing. Godzi, much better on the feet and also a good wrestler. Has good jiu-jitsu as well. Koji has been submitted a few times here. I think Koji could, have some success early, but I just think Godzi is going to be the better guy. Godzi takes this one. But, I think it's closer than the odds are indicating here. I'm seeing Godzi. Last I checked, Godzi is Godzi Rabanov is a minus 300 favorite now. So he was a minus 400 favorite. Money's coming on him. So there you go. Koji winning would not surprise me at all. Next fight at 135, Juan Archuleta versus Sojul Kim. This one is a grease fire of a fight. These guys are going to be super close throughout this fight, in my opinion. Sojul Kim is just a wild man. He's been really fun to watch tape on. I highly recommend watching some tape on him. Throws tons of strikes from all positions, throws a lot of strikes in the clinch, has a decent wrestling game, and his cardio is one of the strongest aspects. I think Juan Archuleta starts out strong early, but I do think will fade as this fight goes on. I think that Sojul Kim is going to keep a good pace, has experience in the ring, and I just think that Juan's going to kind of gas out in this one and not take his opponent serious. So I like Sojul Kim. He's a plus 135 underdog. I like him in this fight by decision. I think the cardio is going to play a factor. Next fight here, rematch, Kyoji Horiguchi and Hiromasa Oji Kubo. Here. These guys have fought before, fought pretty closely, but honestly, once Kyoji Horiguchi started really defending the takedowns, the cardio and the well-roundedness of Kyoji took over. Kyoji started getting takedowns himself, kind of broke Oji Kubo as the fight went on. So minus 550 favorite. Kyoji Horiguchi takes this one, in my opinion. And next fight here, co-main event, Patricio Pitbull versus Kelber Koik Herbest, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner here. Very, very long, tricky guy, but on the feet, he has next to nothing for someone like Patricio Pitbull. Patricio Pitbull is going to pressure and catch Kelber. Kelber's going to go down with a lot of the strikes, trying to get Patricio to entice his game. Patricio is going to call him up and keep knocking him down. This could be a TKO really early on, and you're just like, why did this fight even have to happen? So Kelber is tricky. He's 5-0 with Rizin. He's been able to suck everybody into his game. But you've been able to see in the fights where Kelber's lost, it's been from pressure and strikes, and that's what Patricio Pitbull is going to do here. So Patricio Pitbull, one of probably my most confident on the card here, along with Kyoji Horiguchi, and he's a minus 350 favorite if you can find him at bet 365 right now, plus 265 on Kelber. I think that price should rise as well. Kelber is literally sub or bust. He's going to be trying to pull guard. He's going to be going down with a lot of strikes. I could see the ref stopping it just from multiple knockdowns. Main event, AJ McKee is in the main event versus Roberto De Souza. This is a fight to me that I just, you just don't really know. Roberto De Souza, 14-1, 33 years old, a jiu-jitsu ace, and again, look at armbar, triangle, including grappling. AJ McKee will entice the grappling. I don't think a loss here does anything for his career, really. He's never lost by submission. So I could see these guys kind of putting on a show on the ground, and McKee slips up and Roberto De Souza probably submits him. Or McKee takes it all the way. I'm going to go with AJ McKee here, but a part of me really wants to pick De Souza by submission. But my main crux for this card, as I just went through it, if it's not obvious enough, I wouldn't bet this card. I don't really trust the circumstances. I don't trust, these fighters aren't just going to kind of go out there and throw caution in the wind, or worse circumstances at that. So that's my thoughts. That's it for the 2022 breakdown shows. It's been a great year on the channel. Apologize for the interruption with the internet there in the middle, but such is life. I just want to thank everybody who has joined and supported along the way. People like Moise, really, you guys do mean a lot to me. Just my 2 cents. Noah, Stubborn Mick, all of you guys mean a lot to me. I really put a lot of work into this, and I always am very upfront when I don't feel you should put your money somewhere. So I'm sorry that I had to save for that Rizin Bellator card. I would not bet on it, but that's what I'm doing. I did look into all the fights. It's been a great year on the channel. Everybody's come on to work with me. I get it. Sometimes it's not always perfect with MMA wagers, but it means a lot to me that you guys have been patient with me and allowing him to kind of develop. He's a good dude, and you don't have to agree with everything I say or he says. Like, take what's helpful and leave the rest. But shout out to Norton as well. Hopefully we can get back on the same track here in 2023 a little more. But he's been doing a lot of great work. Lucky Locks, I hope to see you with the LFA more in 2023. And anybody else who I end up working with, definitely going to be looking forward to working with Lubetcha here in the new year. Great dude in the community. If you're not following him, I don't know what you're doing, but follow him. He's one of the good ones. And looking forward to finding other good people to work with. Always open to it. So thank you, everybody. Justin wasn't here, but shout out to Justin. Always great support. Moise, appreciate you. Justin, Kelly, just my 2 cents. Garth, even stopping in. Appreciate it, man. Alex, yeah, you guys all, I really appreciate it. Don't forget to sign up for my Patreon, where you send me PayPals and I send you screenshots saying that I am having PayPal issues. So hopefully all the frauds can keep on getting out of this game, which we know isn't going to happen. So thank you, everybody. Happy New Year. Good luck with the fights. Chuck Campbell is going to get that dub plus 200. Let's go. Peace.